Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday for those of you who are still drinking and thinking with us.
Yes. So this is the part two, day two of my birthday celebration. Hello, Amanda. Welcome.
Hello.
It's also Mother's Day. To those of you that are interested in that, happy Mother's Day. To those who are celebrating, Sharai just gives me the side eye.
It's one of those holidays where like it's a moment and we need to discuss it in different lenses because it's very Hallmark and people forget about other people.
Yeah.
But that's
definitely
a different podcast.
Right. Different people have different experiences. But yes, if you're celebrating, happy Mother's Day. If you're not, happy Sunday. Let's get drunk as I drink my water. So today we're discussing Hush on Netflix. For those of you that haven't seen it, we're probably going to do some spoilers, so you might want to just come back to us later and go watch it and then come back. So yeah, what did we think about Hush?
Y'all should go first.
I should go first. No pressure.
Amanda, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I was very intrigued and excited about this film. To see what they would do with it. Part of me is always like when you're working with the disabled community or any other various communities, I want it to be very diverse and accurate to what you're doing. And if you're not a voice for that community, bring someone into the space. So I was like hoping that was happening, but I love this team and I love Katie Siegel a lot. It was a good film, but is this accurate? Is it truth to what to these individuals in their lives? Is that, a thing? But like some people kind of run with it because it's like horror and slasher kind of thing. Yeah, I have a lot of feelings, but for me, I was like trying to do the investigation of like, are you being truthful? Are you creating a space for individuals and you did not cast someone who is deaf? And so yeah, I have a lot of things, but it's a good movie for an hour and a half. It goes quick and it does what it needs to do. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was kind of my thoughts too. While I was watching, I was also reading an article that was about like a lot of the criticisms that he's gotten from the deaf community. Am I freezing up?
You're back.
Mm-hmm. You're back.
Okay, I'm back. Okay. And it was really interesting. I guess the article I was reading was written a few years after the film came out. Katie Siegel, or is that how you say her last name?
Kate Siegel.
Kate. She was originally not supposed to play the role. She was not originally cast. She co-wrote the script, and they had to, apparently, what they've said, they cast her for budgetary reasons. They did hire a deaf consultant who consulted on the script and taught Kate ASL. Whether or not that was a huge success is to varying degrees depending on who you ask. So yeah, I wish and both the director and Kate has since said if they were to go back, they would not have made the same decision. They apologized. I think that's what it is. But yeah, it's a good movie. Once it gets going, it's going. And it does not stop.
So, like, this movie pissed me off because it was not accurate. And so I did some digging after it wrapped up a few minutes ago. And, like, Kate and Mike Flanagan are married. So that's also icky that you didn't hire an actress from the community, but your wife is there playing this role. And again, like, there were just issues. Like, I found this YouTuber, Ricky Pointer, on Film Friday, who actually talks about how bad the ASL is and like how bad like they were treating her sight because she couldn't see things on the side of her. And so like that was just a lot of issues. Not feeling the vibrations when her neighbor's being murdered on the door and those sort of things that pissed me off, also pissed off that community. And we don't talk about that because I think people just really love Mike Flanagan and they don't want to critique him for some reason. And this movie, if you're going to do a movie about a community, you need to have that community there. Otherwise, you're just like trampling around on this community for no reason. And it's hurtful and toxic. Happy Sunday.
Yeah. Agreed. I think, yeah.
Like,
it is interesting.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, you're back, so you should go ahead while you're here.
I was just going to say, okay, while I'm here. It is interesting. They said that this is kind of problematic. One of their inspirations in making this film was Wait Until Dark, which I think it's an able-bodied actress playing a blind person in like the 60s, I want to say. It's a horror film, apparently. Never seen it. But yeah, and so it was like, in the article I was reading, the actress from A Quiet Place that's deaf was responding to it and talking about how it was not accurate or truthful. So yeah, I wish they would have cast, because I think it would have been a much better movie if the actress had been deaf.
Plus, the actress could have helped them navigate some of the things they clearly didn't understand about this community. And so there wouldn't be so many people from the community ripping them a new one online right now. This is very much Sia being like, I thought about doing the right thing, but then I went with Maddie Ziegler. Nobody needs that energy. Don't do that. Like, there was no reason you couldn't use a deaf actress in this movie. And I know that one of the excuses that Mike gave people was that there would be some lines at the end, but those lines are in her head. So you could have done so many different things with that. Plus, there are actors who are deaf and do speak. Marlee Matlin is out there. Like, there are so many actors I can't even think of. And so, like, if I could get on Google and find a couple, I'm sure that whole production could have. You could have had an intern do it. You're not paying them anyways. Have them get out their internet for you. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's not old. 2016, right? Like, it's not like it's the 60s anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sucks because if you fixed all the issues with the deafness and like how they didn't get that right, I would have loved the movie. You know what I mean? So it's just so frustrating that could have been easily fixed, and you would have had an exceptional movie. Instead, you went the easy route, and we have a movie that I want to like because it's scary and the pacing is good, but it just fucked up everything else. It fucked up the easy part. That's what I don't get.
Easy part.
Get the easy part right.
The easy part, you know, I mean, because especially in the horror genre and slasher genre, we're talking about being inclusive and diverse, and it's like, then do it. If you're writing it, then do it. And if someone goes, well, we didn't have the budget or something, then don't do the film. Go make a short film or go do something else. Because this whole we don't have the budget is not working anymore. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have done this
also
work, or people would have funded it. So I'm not putting up with that anymore. So when people are like, we didn't know anybody. I'm like, do you not go outside?
Right?
Not Google?
You didn't want to know anybody.
We don't have the money. I'm like, so I didn't either. And I still went to college. Like, there's no way you can, like, we're done. We're done with that. We're
also,
here now.
When you're Mike Flanagan and Kate Segal, like, how do they not have money?
Yeah, redo it. Hey, you put it out. If you redo it, I think we can talk.
It goes back to people trying to tell people stories when they don't have experience. And that if you have not lived the experience, you can't tell the story. I can't come out here with a story based on your life, Trent, or your life, Amanda, because those are not my experiences. I can tell you about what my basic black ass has been doing, but I can't be like, well, I'm going to write for this community because I'm the voice of this community I'm not a part of. And then, like, and when you do that, of course, you have these like glaring oversights because you're all in your privilege and you're patting yourself in the back for doing this thing you think is fun and good for the community and asking them to like give you stars for your little bit of effort. And so you're not looking at what's wrong with it and you're not looking at how it's harmful and you're silencing the people who should be telling the stories. If these stories mean anything to you and you really want to see them, you need to like get on these Kickstarters and help fund them. You need to like help these writers get into these rooms. You need to help these directors get directing experience because they are constantly shut out. And then you have your Mike Flanagans who are constantly telling their stories and nothing's getting better. And people are like, I don't know where to start. And you start by taking your privilege out of the equation and using it for good, as opposed to using it so you can tell the story, so you can feel like you've done something or a service to someone.
Yeah.
It pissed me off, y'all. That's my energy today because we started with this.
Listen, just create the space. I'll tell them if they ever say anything to me, I'll be like, hush, you hush. And create space, create opportunity. You hush. That's how I feel. You hush. You hush.
Yeah. Because it also sucks because again, not as clearly not as well done as your next, but again, we had a female final girl that decides to fight and not try to run and hide and all this stuff. So I like that part, but then but then you can't like that part because they fucked up everything else.
Yeah. The final girl was the cat.
Yeah. That's the only character I was rooting for.
Me too. The moment the killer was starting to pet the cat, I go, if you do it,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pop into this video and slap you. But she was the final girl, the cat.
She was. I would have watched a movie about the cat before I watched this again.
Yeah, and my other really big note was like, damn, I want to kind of live where they are because the cops got there pretty quickly.
Suburbs.
Where they,
Suburbs.
Yeah, I guess in the outskirts a little bit.
Her house was cute too. I would live in that house.
That was a cute house.
One of my issues is that all of the doors are glass, which is another reason why I didn't buy that she could never see him in this glass house. And I also didn't buy why it took him so long to break down the door when she was writing her letter at the end. And that's another reason why having an actor who is from the community, they could have been like, if you want this moment of her writing this, here's when I would do it. As opposed to you making him take 10 minutes with the door while I like write this note. Mm-hmm. I'm upset. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah. What else did I? Yeah, I had issues with the talking to herself scene, giving her a voice, or like letting the audience hear her inner thoughts.
Mm-hmm. That felt like we have an actress who isn't deaf, so we have to put this in there.
That was his excuse to not cast an actress from the community, is that there would be lines. But again, there are actors who can't hear but can speak, and they are working actors right now. And also those lines, if you couldn't find an actor who couldn't hear but could speak that you wanted, you could have used anyone's voice because, again, this is a horror movie and nobody knows what her voice is supposed to sound like anyways. It's her mom's voice. Have an older woman do it.
Right. It's not even her. It's not even supposed to be her voice. It's scripted to not be her voice.
Yeah.
Doesn't make no sense.
Yeah. No, I'm happy that we're doing this live. I'm happy we're doing this live because had we recorded this and we had to title it, it would have just been Miss Me. Hush. I'm real mad about this. And I'm mad that nobody talks about it. They're all like, oh yeah, Mike Flanagan, love him. He did this and this and this. This movie's great. And it's like, is this movie great or do you want it to be great? And ask yourself why you want it to be great.
I want it to be great. I want it to be great because I would love to have more people with disabilities in the horror film, but I want that to be physically done.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I
This
love
feels
this
a
in
lot.
theory.
The idea of it could have been something, but there was a failure to launch. This feels like the breadcrumbs that a lot of us have been getting for representation, but it started in 2016. Was this movie? I think because like I'm always complaining about how actors were treated in the 80s and the 90s who were black because they were treated like shit. And this feels like, oh yeah, there's a new community we could be like giving breadcrumbs to, and they should just be happy that we're doing it. Let's make a movie. And I don't understand why that was greenlit, and I don't understand why it was funded. Because again, if you want these stories, or if you actually see the value in these stories, and you're not just like trying to do a money grab to get some pats on the back, there are people out there you could be supporting right now today. Like how many people on Twitter are putting out calls for people? Amplify those. Like connect them with people. Like go into these schools. There are so many ways of getting this story made by people who should be telling the story that I don't understand how anybody in today's society could like sit there with their privilege and be like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna choose violence.
Something else I didn't get was Craig. Why was Craig even involved? Like, why even bring him up?
Oh yeah.
Why have him text her? If you're not going to do anything with that, you know, I just did that. It didn't make any sense to me.
Didn't make any sense. Like what? At first I was thinking, is this Craig? You know, I was like, is this Craig mad?
When John showed up, I was like, right. Oh, you thought the killer was Craig.
Yeah. I thought the killer was Craig at first because I was like, Craig's calling. It was like, is it this one, like this obsessive thing that's happening? You're not listening to me. You're not, I'm going to then take away like come after you. Yeah.
Well, and did you notice that Craig was a black man?
Was he?
When she's FaceTiming him, his profile pic comes up. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm crazy.
I didn't get to actually see
I'm
him.
not gonna watch the movie again to find out.
No. I didn't actually get to see him, but I don't think he was. My question goes to the man terrorizing her because he seems to just be somebody who wants to just like stab the neighbor real quick. But then he's like, oh, she can't hear me. Let me change my evening plans and terrorize her. What is that? What is your actual MO, good sir? Are you terrorizing people or are you just cutting people?
Yeah.
I also had an issue with all of his monologues because I felt like they were there just because she's not speaking, as opposed to they were inspired or needed or necessary, because he was just like recapping what was happening. And I'm like, I'm watching it. I don't need to like hear the recap of what just happened on Survivor last week. I'm here with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the article I was reading about this, they did mention that the reason he is attacking her specifically, they wanted it to be that his ableism, because he thought she would be an easy mark, an easy kill. But that was his only motivation, was ableism.
Okay, if that's the reason, then why didn't he just stab her when he came in the first couple times? Because he was literally just like playing with her. And I was like, you changed your MO. You chased this woman down and you stabbed her. And now you're like, I'm going to make a night of this. For what? Like, I don't know this killer. I don't think they know this killer because they just wanted this to happen. So they were like, eh. And also the friend, oh my God, I just forgot her name. I forgot her name. I thought I wrote it down.
Which
but
one?
Sarah. Sarah, the neighbor. Yes. Why would Sarah, the neighbor, run back and not try other doors? Because all of her doors were unlocked except for the one Sarah chose. So she stayed there beating on it, and they wouldn't let her feel those vibrations or see out of the side of her eye because this movie is messed up. And instead of her trying another door and getting in, we just like have her stand there. So she led this killer to this house and then chose the wrong door. But you've been friends for so long.
Right. And does she not have a doorbell? I feel like I feel like
it's wild. Yeah, because my friend who's hard of hearing and her partner that's deaf, they have a doorbell that's connected to a light source, so it does blink and flicker so that they know that packages are being delivered, but that's them. But then I was thinking about like her house is very equipped for that, right? She shows us the fire alarm. We see that it's a source of light and vibration. And so I asked my friend, she's like, yeah, we do have those things. You just don't have one thing, right? It's a whole,
Right.
how we accommodate for a lot of things to help us hear or to know what's happening around, right? To keep up with what's going around us. So yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-mm. No,
Yeah.
again, it's what happens when you run in a community and you don't ask questions and you don't invite people to these conversations. Because even like Ricky Pointer was pointing out all of the issues with this film and was like, we would have this, we would know this, we would feel that. And the fact that they couldn't be bothered to get onto a YouTube video while they were like taking this idea and running with it just is mind-boggling. The internet is here.
Right.
I also want to know how
Yeah.
well she's doing as a writer, or she can afford to outfit her house this way. Because, like, how many books has she written? Like, is there a magic number of books where I can afford a house like that?
I think she's only written one. At least that's the one Sarah read and loved or whatever.
Must be a damn good book.
Must have been a real damn good book.
Yeah.
It's a good book. I was thinking Sarah and what's her name? Maddie, right? No.
Yeah,
Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an interesting thing to me if they're both in the house and Sarah doesn't know words and can communicate with Maddie, and then there was an issue, like there was a killer. I would have liked to see that. Like, how do you communicate even in situations like that when it's almost like this language we can't, like when someone's bilingual and you're trying to describe something to someone and it's like there's danger. How do you take care of each other when you're two different ways of communicating? But thank goodness Maddie could read lips, right? Like, don't worry, she got meningitis, that's factual. That's actually true. But like now she can read lips. So I'm gonna give you all this stuff in the beginning, so you know she's cool. She's good to go.
Sarah was just there for exposition and to lead the murderer to this house. Like, that's all she did. Which also felt weird.
Yeah.
Because
Sarah and my other friend.
Yeah. But like, if you've known someone for so long, then you don't magically just show up to be like, so when you were sick and lost your hearing and you wrote this book. And I was just like, was there no way of giving all this exposition without this friend just like sitting here giving it? And also when the alarm went off, I was pissed because I was like, how does she not see the flickering? And so Sarah has to be like, hey, especially because like the vibrations, because again, she has it so loud, so there'd be vibrations. And so I feel like they wanted her to be a victim so badly that they didn't actually go, why are these things in her house and what do they actually do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it would. I agree, Amanda. I think that having another character there with Maddie, so maybe Sarah, maybe someone else, maybe Craig shows up. That could have been a choice. Would have been really interesting to find that dynamic. Of course, they probably would have fucked that up too. So who knows? But yeah, sometimes isolate. Sometimes we talk about how isolation is terrifying, especially in the pandemic world. But sometimes not being isolated is just as terrifying. We can't communicate.
And that's another issue I have, is that like she lost her hair when she was 13, so she has ways of communicating. And I feel like for some reason we were just like, no, just like let's make her a victim. Let's like just keep her as a victim only. Because even when like Sarah's boyfriend shows up and is about to like get the upper hand and fix this shit, what does she do? She runs, starts beating on the door, even though she can see clearly what's about to happen. And I'm like, who wrote that? Mike? Who wrote that?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, John, what a clueless man. John, does this guy who just showed up look like a cop? Does he look like a cop?
Right. Just because he's shining a light in your eyes does not a cop make.
Right?
I'm here to investigate. Investigate what? What?
And then he told all of her business. And I was like, this is why he should have just shot you. Because he had a crossbow. He was killing everybody on site except for Sarah and John. Not Sarah. Sorry. Except for Maddie and John. Everybody else died on site. But those two, it's like, let us get some more exposition. Let me monologue at you because I haven't talked for a while.
I have a lot of questions for people in crossbows.
I
now.
also wish he would have kept the mask on further longer because that mask was creepy. The like half smile, smirk. Oh, I did not like that mask.
It goes back to what the hell are his motives? Because again, he seemed to be a stab and go. But for her, he's like, let me like reset everything. And I need her to see my face so she knows I'm trying to kill her. And I'm like, I think she got that. I think that you made it apparent what your intentions are for her. So like, yeah.
I love how you called it a stab and go. Made me think of like a come and go, like a gas station. It's like, come in. Get your Twinkies. Get your murder weapons. See you later. Murder gas station. Write that down, actually. That's mine.
Grabbing a Twinkie on the way out.
Murder gas.
Yeah, because then you can use the Twinkie defense.
Oh, too soon. Too soon.
Truly.
I also have issues with the man continuing to use Sarah's body as a prop. Because again, he did not seem to be a person who is a big picture person. He's like, I'm a chaser, I'm a stabber, and I'm gonna go to the next house. And so for him to be like, oh, I'm gonna play with this one. Let me like store this body somewhere for a second so I can find an appropriate window at an appropriate time to tap her. They were just doing things to be doing things. They thought it was gonna be effective and it wasn't. And it actually, the pacing of this movie also irritates me, but I was more angry about the casting that like it's a lesser evil. But like they slowed it all the way down for no reason, especially because you can't even use the excuse, oh, we were trying to negotiate working with this actress and we haven't done that before. Like they work with her all the time because again, it's Mike Flanagan's wife. And so like, why is this pacing so awful? Why are we staying in these moments forever? I feel like I'm still watching the movie in my bedroom as we're here.
Yeah, it jumped. Like the escalation was not gradual. It went from like down here to like up here within like 2 seconds, and so then it had nowhere to go, and so yeah, then it got kind of stale there, 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah. After her friend or sister is like, what moved behind you? The movie dies. The movie dies immediately. And then it's a bunch of slow monologues from the man who doesn't really have a plan. And yeah.
What other notes did I write? So I did talk to my friend, her partner's deaf, and he's like, I do put my phone on vibrate. On a higher setting of vibrate. And that was not happening, right? We kept hearing the pings, so it was very much for the hearing audience, like to hear pings and to hear other sounds. And I was like, I think you lost it. You weren't making, I mean, yeah, we already talked about that, but the whole phone, when the phone gets taken away too, and he's sending pics of her to her messaging on her Apple, which again, Apple products, if you have an Apple product, we know that you're the hero. And if you don't have it, you're them.
He had Android energy. As Clubhouse would say, he had Android energy. I take that offensive because I'm an Android girl with her first iPhone, and it's a struggle.
One thing that I did enjoy, it was the first like 5 seconds when the sound mixing, like you heard all the sound effects of like the chopping of the onions and the sizzling of the frying pan and the water and all that. It was kind of like overdone, and then as it switches to her, it all kind of fades out. I thought that was super cool because all the sounds that we don't necessarily even think about, you know what I mean? Like just everyday sounds that a deaf person would not hear.
I was here for the sounds, especially because we take it for granted, people who can hear. And so we're not listening to the sizzle and how that sounds sexy or all these other things that she was doing. But like where I was lost, I don't know whose fault this is that like she never made noise. She was always creeping around, but she can't hear. And so how does she know how softly to walk and how to tiptoe around things and how to like move things quietly? And that's a point Ricky pointed out, and I was happy because I'm like, okay, I'm not alone. Because I don't want to be that asshole who's like, I feel this way about your community. I'm not going to Mike Flanagan anybody. And so I was happy to hear that I was not wrong about this. Because again, people are naturally loud.
Well,
and if you're not used to hearing yourself, you don't know how loud you are.
Mm. Yeah.
And also, deaf people can make noise with their mouths. Like they didn't get their vocal box taken away. Like they can't form words. That's deaf, you know, especially the first 13 years of her life, she could speak and she could hear. So why can't she scream? Why can't she vocalize something? You know what I mean? Not that she has to. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like she would have that ability, and it didn't seem like she did.
Yeah.
Also, one of the neighbors used some like old language that is not used anymore. Because when they were talking about how she can't speak, and I'm forgetting the word. I want to say it's non-auditory, but that is not right either. But they said the M word, which is not something that is cool anymore. And I'm like, so you didn't even like do the due diligence of like finding ableist language to not include. You were just like, I'm so hot. I'm doing y'all a favor. You're welcome. So like. I don't know what my hot take is going to be because all I have are hot takes. Like,
yeah, I think all of our hot takes will be fairly similar, actually. Because the root problem is going to be there, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks. No matter how much, even if you liked the script or the truly.
Go ahead, Amanda.
The cat's name was Bitch. I do love that.
That bitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cat won for me. That was the only one that I didn't see problems with. You don't want to eat your food. You want to hang out. You come when you come. Look, someone's petting you. You didn't know he was a murderer. You know?
Cats don't care.
Don't care.
They're like, I don't know what you're doing. I care how you treat me. You can have her. That cat made a deal. It was like, you get behind these ears, I'll show you how to get in the house. Also, how did he get in the house at the end? Because he appears in her bathtub behind her. Again, like she's close enough to her bathtub where I feel like she would have felt that before he blew wind onto her neck and moved her hair so she could have her spidey sense, which also feels gross. And I know that like I get what they wanted, but I just, again, they were making her such a victim that they forgot that like she would feel all this movement behind her because he's a man in a bathtub who came through a window. Yeah. You don't feel a cold wind when he opens your window? Even as a hearing person,
right. Even as a hearing person, I feel like I would have noticed someone standing that close behind me. Just my heat, if anything else.
We all do. And they took that away from her because they needed her to be a victim so badly. So at the end, they could have this anticlimactic fight and she could overcome. This fight was weak. Can we just talk about this fight? Yeah. You built it up and then it was over. And I was like, yay for using a corkscrew as a wine girl, yay. But I feel like this could have just been an email. This needed to be a movie.
Mm-hmm. Look.
Yeah.
QVC, sell the murder kitchen kit. They need to listen to me. I'll probably write them a letter. Well,
do it.
Not with my address, but wait, no, I'm just making it even worse now. Anyhow.
Use
Here's
your
an
neighbor's
anonymous letter.
address, one that you don't like.
Got
Just
it.
sign it from Karen. Love, Karen.
Address of my enemies. Who knows? Yeah, what a film. Yeah.
I also didn't get why
Yeah,
all of her plans were the same until she was too injured to do those, because she kept trying to make a break for it. I'm like, this doesn't working. Why do you keep trying? And then she was climbing up to her roof, because you always did a roof in a horror movie, not because it made sense. And I was just like, so you have this brilliant writer who's good with all these like different endings, but like she only has the one go-to for this situation. And it's to try and run after distracting him and keeps getting caught until she keeps getting injured. Until she can't run anymore. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the roof moment was weird. I feel like I would have just gotten on the roof and stayed there till morning. It's like laid down on the very top of the roof and hope that he didn't find me.
Hang out.
Also, her fighting with the crossbow, because she's so weak she can't load a crossbow.
I forgot
She
about that
seems
moment.
in shape.
Right.
She seems in shape. I feel like she could do that without having to get her feet involved in the crying.
Can we just retire crossbows in general? Because they're kind of useless. You only get one shot, and then you got to reload, which takes 30 seconds. And then you got to, like, I get that they're cool, but, like, they're not effective.
If you're not hunting one slow vampire, then it's no useful for you. But it has to be a slow vampire. It can't be like one of the youngins.
Go slower. Slower.
Yeah. You're saying we're hunting the original vampire who's 9 billion years old and only walks? Okay, I got a crossbow for this.
Can't turn to a bat. He's so tired.
Yeah, no, he can't. He can't.
He's done. Donezo.
Right?
He's tired.
He kind of wants to be done. He's like, I've been doing this for 9 million years. Let's just end this. It's like, bring your crossbow.
Yeah, I'm just because we've now seen it twice in You're Next, and then in this film, and I think out of those two films, I've only seen it kill one person, and that was in You're Next. Crossbows are useless. That's all I gotta say.
Huge weapon to carry too.
I guess that could be my hot take.
There's so many hot takes to be had. This is a movie of hot takes. Another moment that specifically pissed me off is her dipping her hands into her wound to write him a note on the window and then going to her computer to write her note to her family. And I'm just like, wouldn't you have done that first? Like, not to circle back to that, but it just, the timing makes no sense. And I know they wanted it to be like, she's so tough. Now she's a badass. Now she's ready to fight because I say so and I'm the writer. But it comes across as just you doing this to be doing this for no fucking reason. Because if I'm wounded, I'm not gonna put my fingers in it for any reason. Like, and she's like grimacing and it hurts her, but she's like, come on. And I was like, you couldn't have just tapped the window and been like,
bring
and then, yeah, there were other ways. You had a lipstick earlier, but now you're like, I'm gonna do it in blood because I'm so tough because they said so. You're losing blood. Part of the reason you're not writing is because you're bleeding out. Why are you wasting your blood to leave your killer a message? He's coming in anyways.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, and I love that her calling him a coward is what set him off. It's like, oh, you called me a coward. I'm coming in now.
Right? Right? And it took him 5 minutes to get in because this is some special glass.
I mean, if all of your doors are going to be glass, you might as well make them unbreakable. Shatterproof.
And she did.
Shatterproof. Lock your door.
She locked the one in the kitchen, and that's the one that her friend went to. Again, if you are friends with a person, you know which door they lock. You also know to try different doors.
For the record, all my doors are locked. Right. All my doors are locked at all times. So sorry about it.
Yeah, me
I'm from
too.
a city. Yeah. I'm from a city. We lock everything.
Not letting in
Yeah.
people.
Right?
Curtain.
Like the fact that all my doors. But I just, yeah, I don't have anything positive to say about this one.
I'm glad it was
Other than
short.
the sound mixing.
Yeah, I was going to say the sound mixing to me is the highlight of this film. Sound mixers out there, you can watch this movie to learn some skills. Everyone else, wait for the next one.
Yeah.
It's actual representation.
I would never tell sound designers to watch this. I would just be like, this is what happened. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, here's what I would do. I'm like, yeah. Don't watch this movie.
Fair. That's fair.
No, it's one of those movies you only watch if you want to be upset and disappointed in society. Because, again, so many people have been like, you should cover this. You should watch this. And none of them were like, because it's bullshit. And you let qualifier off. Like, put that in the DM too, y'all. If you,
like that. I was gonna say it sucks because I think that this movie has a lot of potential that they just kind of shit on. And I want more people with disabilities in the horror films. So, and this just wasn't it.
Yeah.
it made me think of Matt Damon on Project Greenlight explaining diversity to the one black person they had on the show. And his idea of diversity was being in front of the camera, and she was trying to tell him, no, diversity could be anywhere. If you want to be inclusive, it could be all of the places. He's like, no, you need actors. I'm Matt Damon. I know diversity. And that's my favorite clip. I share it quite often if you follow me. Yeah. And
remember when they thought he could be an action hero?
The boring identity?
Boring identity.
I never watched any of those. I was like, you're not going to sell me that Matt Damon's tough. Like, maybe tough on cookies. So am I, though. Do I need a movie?
The porn version is called The Porn Identity, in case anyone's interested.
I could see that.
I could see that. I'm not going to see it, but I could see that.
No. I'm good with all those identities not being for me.
He stole someone's identity.
All right. Well, let's get. Shall we try to get to some hot takes? I think I figured one out I could give.
Let me see if I've got anything I have not said. Oh, please.
I'm looking at my notes too.
My hot take is just going to be: let's hope Gothica's better than this.
If Gothica is this bad, I'm gonna tap out. I'm gonna just be like, you know what? You want to host the rest of these? Somebody? What? Who's got time today? My hot take is the same, but I'm adjusting it to be more specific, just in case anybody actually does ever listen to me. Stop telling other people's stories. Stop it. If you feel the urge to do it, stop. Put your pen down, close your computer, hush that. Go find people from those communities who are telling those stories and help them tell those stories. Fund them, find them, assist them. Use your privilege and your name to get those movies produced. Don't just be like, I'm going to do it. And you better not get mad at me because I did it for you. Because you're not doing it for anybody. You're doing it for yourself. You're trying to like cash grab on somebody else's experience, and it's gross.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
A Mike Flanagan drop?
Listen. I'm so glad she didn't have a flip phone.
That's true. You got your wish.
I got my wish finally. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same road car, bicycle, whatever we're traveling on, Sharai. I agree. I'm just like, I'm tired of it. It's just, it could have been a really cool idea. I don't know. I kind of would have liked it. I mean, it would have been interesting too to see Sarah, the next door neighbor, be the killer. I don't know, like the jealousy, this whatever's going on, this, because why bring the boyfriend in if he's not the killer? Who is this dude? Why is he killing Sarah and going at that house? And is the only reason he's killing Maddie is because Sarah ran there, and now it's like, ooh, a new game. The killer just didn't make sense to me. It just shows up. He just shows up in Missouri.
Oh, it's Missouri. It makes sense now. I didn't know it was Missouri.
And the
I
desert
retract half
water.
my notes.
It's in Missouri.
Also, are these the only 2 houses on this block?
Yeah.
Because everybody comes here. There's not like, let's try another neighbor. It's like, let me run over here, even though she can't hear me, and we're gonna pretend she can't see out of the side of her eyes. Like, it's like, oh, I can't find my girlfriend. Let me go over to Maddie's. What is this neighborhood?
Also, can we stop yelling at deaf people? Like, it's not going to help you.
No.
No. You know she's deaf. She can't hear you. Why are you yelling? Like, I don't understand.
Another point that was brought up in the YouTube video I watched after I watched this movie, because I was mad and looking for people to validate my anger. Ricky pointed out that, like, reading lips through a window at night from an actor who's not using their full lip range would not be effective for this person. There were so many things
She said she could. When she said she could read lips, and then he talked like this and this lips, I was like, "How's she reading those lips? Your lips aren't moving."
Yeah.
Pulls out a puppet and ventriloquist, and I'm like, what? What? You have a puppet, sir?
Right? But yeah, because like
that would have been scarier, actually.
That actually would have been scary. I'd be like, what is happening?
Right? That would have been a choice. Like Slappy from Goosebumps just appear, and it's like, look. Then I'd be like, okay, maybe we got something. Maybe this is what we've been building to. Like, yeah. Or if we had a lamb mask, so we could tie it all together.
And then a lamb chop, yeah. Doll.
Yeah.
Lamb chop murder.
People who tune in to just this episode and not like your next from yesterday are going to be so lost. They're like, what are lamb chops about? Who are these lambs?
It's true. I think she was actually making lamb chops too.
And she burned them talking to her friend. And her friend had to tell her she burned them because, again, she couldn't feel the vibrations or see the light behind her, even though she had it specifically so she could do both of those things.
All right. Well, let's debrief. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. We'll be back at 4 p.m. Central for Gothica. Hopefully we're in better moods by then. And 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. So see you then. Stay fierce out there.
Bye.